Hey, it's Chris Herbert, and welcome to my Monday morning podcast for June the 16th. Missed last week. And it's funny, as I was just starting to record this, my daughter's cat was chewing on a plastic garbage bag. So I had to take a step backwards and find out what he was doing. Now he's just hanging around. Um, we are and we were and still are a dog family, but ever since this little guy has come into the house, we're more than a dog family now. We had cats when I was a kid. Birchie, no, we had cats when I was a kid, but my adult life, we didn't have cats, dogs. Um, so do you want a pet? And we have a range of pets and animals in our house today, and quite often, from not just cats and dogs, but tarantulas, lizards, snakes, and this is something that my youngest daughter is very passionate about, so we support her as much as we can. Um, yeah, so it's been a pretty busy couple weeks with Area 81. Um, we had a big event in the end of May, which I think I talked about, where we brought 17 entrepreneurs together to talk about what it would take to have a system-wide innovation network for entrepreneurs in Grey Bruce, and making that a template, let's say, or a model for rural communities more broadly. And it was our first get together to talk about that and to explore it. So there were some good things that came out of it, and some I wouldn't say bad things, but some great feedback from everybody involved. So it was quite a memorable moment for me, and hopefully for those who attended. So thanks to those that did. Um, yeah, so we are open and transparent about everything that we're doing with Area 81. So there is a blog post about that event. I'll put it in the show notes. Um, yeah, and there's one venture that's going through Area 81, which is sort of focused in on creating better connections between uh, farmers and consumers and vice versa. So we're moving that one forwards, and I'm really enjoying the initial work that we have been doing with the team. And we had a new member join the peer-to-peer network today. So welcome David to the peer-to-peer network. And we launched our online community hub for Area 81. So lots going on. Um, I'm really excited on the potential of Area 81 for all of us. So it's been an enjoyable experience all around, and I'm very grateful to the co-founding members who have been on board for the last year as we bake the cake, so to speak. Um, yeah, so I'm playing around with Blue Sky. It's a community network platform similar to Twitter, or if you're in the dark side, X. Um, Still experimenting with it. Believe it or not, Twitter is a useful channel in some respects. It really depends on whether an audience exists, whether there's a bunch of people in the same industry that exist or have common interests that exist in that potential cesspool. But the diamond in the rough right now for Twitter is farmers. That's a primary place where they gather and share information. So that's the only reason why I stay on Twitter, is the farmers use it extensively to share, communicate, and there is virtually no toxicity amongst that group of people. What else going on that I think's useful for somebody that listens to this weekly podcast, which I think we're up to, on average 20 views. I don't see the reason why I say views is because it's on YouTube per episode. So knocking the views out of the park. The experiment continues. Not much more to talk about. I'm going to a tournament this week for squash, and I am looking forward to it. It sort of rounds out the season for me. I have big plans for next season, especially for the Masters category. My intention is to win the Canadians, the Canadian 60 plus. So I'm putting that goal out there in the ether. Found out that the house beside me has been a drug house. It's sad to see. For those that don't know me that well, I'm not sitting in a massive mansion. I've had a good life and continue to engineer a good life, but I'm not, inexorbitantly wealthy, and I don't want to be exorbitantly wealthy to the point where I'm removed from the realities of my community, right? So in a roundabout way, what I'm saying is that over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, as MI6 continues to grow and Area 81 achieves traction, I'm hopeful that it will open up opportunities, not just for myself, but others, especially in rural communities, or those that want to set up businesses in rural communities, or at least target and develop rural communities for their businesses, that we can all sort of succeed from it. And success today's day and age has to be economic based. It's very important, as well as other success criteria in today's day and age, which is geared around sustainability and fairness, and our environment. But in a long about short way, I'm saying is if I'm lucky enough, to help hatch some companies in this area that are abundantly successful in terms of the economics of that business, whether they raise significant amount of capital, whether they go public, whether they become very successful from a revenue perspective where dividends can be issued to me and those who have helped start it, that I will never, ever, 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 sort of be in a situation where I don't have potentially, this may sound weird, but potentially, a drug house beside me. I want to help people of all ilk, and until you really know what it's like being on that side of life, it's impossible to pass judgment, and it should be impossible to, cast a blind eye to trying to figure out why people are afflicted in that way, shape, or form. I had secondhand knowledge and access to stories, let's say, from someone in my family who had been working with homeless people, and it's really quite sad, you know, that these folks are going through life where they um, are taking drugs and are homeless and are stuck are stuck in a rut, or at least that's what I think is happening until you see and feel it yourself. And and I'm not is it virtual signaling here? I'm just saying that our community, whether it's rural or urban, we need to be, as much as we can, either immersed in understanding what's really happening, or help those who are immersed in helping people who are homeless or drug addicts, or you know, people who are less economically advantaged. We've got to figure out ways in how we can support maybe not those people directly, but actually the people that are providing the assistance and the help. So I'm still figuring that out. Yes, there's a lot of nonprofits. Yes, there's a lot of charities. Yes, there's a lot of social services being delivered. But the problem continues to exist. And I, I wonder whether, in all cases, the organizations and people that are trying to solve these systemic major community and social issues, whether whether they can do the best they can. In some cases, whether they actually want the problems to continue so that they continue to have a job. I know that sounds very crass, and totally biased and unfair potentially. But I've always been curious as to why we haven't solved a core problem, whether it's getting rid of a disease, for example. And I think of cancer, and I wonder why we haven't got the cure for cancer, or a type of cancer, and maybe we have. And I know there's been progress in treating cancer, and I've witnessed that firsthand through a friend of mine. But I just wonder whether whether the business of curing cancer sort of supersedes the actual curing of cancer. And it should be interesting to see whether AI is going to sort of accelerate curing diseases. And I don't know. It should be interesting. It's like the industrial machine, whether it's agriculture, where what some people will say is that farmers are using too much pesticide, herbicide, and fungicides, and genetically modified seeds. Whether they're stuck in this loop, in this systemic loop of producing food because it does a good job in some people's minds. It produces the quantity and quality of food that we need in order to mass produce food, as an example. And then you'll look at regenerative farmers, who are running profitable farms, and I'm currently doing deep research on that, and they're small farms, like 100 acres or less, very diverse, who are minimizing, if not totally not using these different types of sides, whether it be insecticide, herbicides, or fungicides. So how do you take away the things that are true about the fact that there are new ways or better ways or more natural ways to farm, from the commercial needs of the farmer to generate enough food or to generate enough yield per acre? How do you remove these two things? The same with homelessness. can society and the organizations that exist set a goal of eliminating homelessness? And the first thing I think about is China. So China, from what I know and what I've heard and read and watched, has mobilized their entire population out of poverty. Right now, I need to verify and validate that, but they have created a middle class. No, they've raised their middle class. So they've built their economy with the primary goal of removing all those in poverty and providing them with more sustainable living conditions. So I'm getting deep. I didn't expect to get this deep into this topic. But the entrepreneurs of today and the future need to think less about themselves in terms of the size of my house, how many cars I have, the type of watch I wear, and how many boats I have, how many properties I have, and look inside themselves and think, okay, how much do I really need in order to be happy? And then what else can I do with my agency, my money, my innovative mind, my passion around me? And I mean around me, right? Because there are social problems right beside me in the form of a drug house, which is now locked, locks changed. The owner is going to upgrade it and sell it. But I bet you if you just look down the road, or if you're in a grocery store, or you're wherever you are, that there are people who need help. Even if they don't want help, they need it. And it's really time to start looking just around you, as opposed to, to another state, another province, another country, whatever. Because honestly, if you can't solve what's happening around you, how can you solve something that's in another country, or in another state, or another province? You can't, right? So, and it's beyond writing checks. It's really going and experiencing what it's like. Like in Sound, for example, there is a homeless population, and that's where my daughter was working at a homeless shelter. And this homeless shelter is open in the evenings, 24 hours actually, during winter time, so that homeless people can get out of the cold. But as soon as spring comes down, it shuts down, or it just operates during the day. So why is it that only one thing makes it such that it's open 24 hours, and that's the weather? I don't think that should be the only reason. Anyways, like I said, going to play squash in a tournament this week. I want Area 81's doing well. Continuing on my Monday morning podcast series. Looking forward to a great summer here. But always think it's important to balance, how good you feel about your own life, and then take a look around you and see, whether you can help the lives of other people too. Have a good week.